Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friend or Foe Esports Week 2, Day 2 of the Heroic League. And kicking things off, we're heading right into game number 1 of the night. On the blue side, we have RLS, aka Rapidly Losing Sanity. On the red side, we have New Wave Tsunami. Quite an opening game for the night because these two teams have seen multiple seasons of FOF, either through their team or others. So I'm looking forward to seeing these familiar faces duke it out. Speaking of familiar faces, bringing you the voices behind this cast, my name is Whirler, and casting alongside me, we have Lolo.
Hi, Awala. I am super excited. It's week 2. It's already been a pretty spicy few sets of games, and we are jumping straight into this draft. It's a quick fire one, by the way. It looks like Frozen Incursion's getting heavily banned out by RLS. That's extremely rude of them, but nevertheless, it's interesting to see what NWT are going to be picking for their mid laner, because that's still in contention. We are going to be seeing the Volley Bear taken away from RLS. That is a power pick for them, but they look to be quite happy to pick the Jarvan in response to it.
Definitely so. And so far in this first round of picks, seeing a lot of new faces of champions in terms of we've seen a little bit of Mordekaiser, but we have not seen too much of Zeri so far, given that she had been released in between seasons. How has this champion been doing so far in this season of FOF?
I think she's been doing all right. We've seen some pretty stellar performances. Escape's definitely had a good one, which is why I'm interested to see, particularly with these ADCs, they do both enjoy the Jinx and the Zeri. Those are the two picks I'm very not surprised at all to see. I am surprised to see a Fiora coming out there. Valiancy, by the way, I think is a new top laner for NWT. We haven't seen them previously, to my knowledge, but nevertheless, they are a Vayne main, but against the Mordekaiser, maybe not something they wanted to pull out. So they're going to be pulling out another counter pick here. Kieri so far has been very weak side, playing things like the Scion, and the I think we've had a Nasus game before potentially. It's just things that and Urgot, things that can allow RLS to play towards Escape and Tephra in the bot lane, because that's where their strength is really lying at the moment in this new season. And with the Jinx first pick, that's very telling, because they do have a hyper carry to play around. So I am going to be interested to see how this top lane matchup fares up, because this is a matchup we've not seen before, and also between potentially someone who NWT might want to play around more.
And with Soraka and Victor and Lulu and an undetermined final ban going to be on the second round of bans, a little bit support focused with Soraka Lulu, and I'm liking that in terms of how support has been in the coming meta. We're in a new season, season 12. Can't believe it's already been that many seasons. But with Lux being the final ban of this draft, that's a new ban in my book. Or what do you think behind that one?
I think potentially it's just things to take away from Frozen Incursion, who again is also someone who's been subbed in. We have seen Tiki previously playing on NWT, but this was where the I did mention this, the Anivia and the Kindred bans are coming out, because RLS have done their scouting. They say this is what this player plays, and we don't have much more information, so we're going to take away a few other of their potential easy picks from the mid lane and try to focus around that. So with the they are going to be, from the looks of it, NWT prioritizing that last pick for their mid laner to try to give them some sort of counter pick. Ollie on the Nautilus with the Zeri, that's a relatively safe pick. There are some other options they could go into. The Braum is an interesting one. That definitely, obviously, it provides some additional peel for this Jinx, which is fantastic. But I'm surprised, because Zeri's early game isn't super strong, but like with the Nautilus, they do have some some engage opportunity, and with the Braum, that does provide a bit of counter to that, or some neutralizing of that lane. So once again, we do have the mid lane being picked last, and it is going to be a Rise. Bengu Souls was practicing this earlier, I think, has been playing a little bit more of it recently. So I'm very interested to see what this last pick is going to be.
Definitely so. And minus the Mordekaiser, this is a draft that I've seen in pro play probably 2 or 3 years ago. A draft similar to this, and I'm liking the sort of playstyle coming out from RLS. It's very strong, very well rounded, and with a hyper carry such as Jinx, if she gets off on the right foot, this backed up with rise damage and as much peel as RLS has, that is a pretty scary comp.
It is, and of course, both of these compositions so far, at least between the Fiora, the Rise, there is a lot of side lane threat as well. It is going to be, from the looks of it, an Ari coming out from Frozen Incursion. I think that's a very sensible pick here. It's going to do fairly fine into the Rise. He's not going to have too much skill, that she is going to be able to actually provide quite a lot of pressure early, particularly with those changes. She's got a lot of sustain in lane, corrupting potion, that sort of thing. He's going to be looking to try to scale his mana up, whilst she can look to try to put some pressure on early. And with that volley there on Sunrise as well, they are actually going to have quite a lot of pressure being put on Pengu with this rise. So War Leader's going to have to play around that, but we'll have to see whether he chooses to do so or whether he wants to continue to prioritize his bot lane.
And honestly, looking at these two drafts, this is exactly what I want to see coming out from these two teams as a whole. RLS definitely a fan favorite amongst a lot of FOF, and NWT a lot of familiar faces that I'm sure have a lot of support from the fans of FOF. And it's almost soothing to see a lot of returning faces in FOF, because it's not every day you have a community such as this that really have that endearing support between the players.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's something that makes FOF unique, and it is very telling, as you say, Werler, that we do see some of these players have been here from the very beginning. RLS, they may have changed what the RLS stands for once or twice, but nevertheless, they are definitely veterans of. It's wonderful to say we do have real veterans now of the FOF. Now we're into our so many seasons in. So I think that is something that. For one thing, it does mean there's all to play for, because a lot of these players, as you mentioned, have played each other before. So there's not just a win on the line, position in the rankings. There is a lot of pride. Yeah,
I would have to agree with that. Seeing a lot of these players come into action. We're gonna get into game really soon, and we are ready to roll. And with not a replay, indeed, we are heading into game number 1 of the night. 5-point coming out from what looks like both teams. We're ready for this one.
So let's have a quick look at what we're going to see from the runes and the summoner spells. There isn't too. I mean, the teleport from Sunrise is very interesting. Likewise is the ignite from Pengu's Soul, as we do see a little bit of scrapping up in the top lane already.
We've got auto attack trade coming up into the top lane. Fiora versus Mordekaiser, a level 1 that I'm not too sure which way it goes, but it's going to result in half HP and a recall from both top laners. I'm actually not sure if Fiora is opting to take a recall, but just to stay in lane, which is going to put her at an HP disadvantage, but it might translate into something more than that. I'm not too sure.
Well, she did manage to proc a couple of vitals in that fight, and obviously if she's able to proc the vitals, she is going to do quite a lot of burst damage early. In fact, Kieri is happy to just play that one out, and looks like she is going to be going and giving War Leader a bit of a leash, which is going to put him slightly ahead in terms of his clear down towards it. Does look like both these junglers going to be pathing towards the bot side, but going back, as we see the mid lane here, that is going to be, electrocute procs from Sunrise, but he's got to be a little bit careful, because with this ignite, this very aggressive, this isn't normally what you would see from a Rise, but nevertheless, it does mean that he has to be quite careful with these trades early. And Pengu does look like he wants to try to put some pressure on, given that, that he's got that aggressive summoner spell.
Definitely so. I've been seeing a lot of the new TP in the mid lane, especially. New TP has been something that players are still trying to scrap up in the early parts of the season. Mid lane, definitely one of the most popular roles to take TP in now, which shocked me when I came back to League this year. Level 2 on the Fiora, hit level 2 first, jumping in on Kieri, taking a good trade. But back to what I was saying, it is very shocking to see Rise, of all champions, take Ignite. I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yes, and one thing we should point out is that actually it does look like we've seen a bit of a... hang on, hold the thought.
Looks like an all-in from Pengu. Double flash and the Ignite will finish it off. Barely getting out from that tower shot. Almost trading the kills. Pengu's Soul taking first blood on Sunrise. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Frozen Incursion is going to get slowed down by Escape's W, but a flash stun from Volibear into a hook onto the support. A lot of split damage, but it...
Oh my god!
With a flash, barely result in a kill. Such split damage, but it does result in gold for NWT. Trade kills on the map.
It's crucial, absolutely crucial, the Gimme a Reset flash to get that, because Frozen Incursion, and we should note, I was caught a bit off guard by this, it is Frozen Incursion and Sunrise swapping roles. We were expecting Sunrise in the jungle role for this game, but nevertheless, Frozen Incursion did a very, very aggressive path there. We're going straight from his red down to the blue and into the Grump and straight into gank. And that means that if that puts him behind, as you can see in the farm already. So if he hadn't managed to get a kill down there in the bot lane, War Leader would have been laughing because he's already very far ahead in terms of clear.
Very able to pick up I can never remember the name of this item, however, I just call it Fake Phage. With that being said, Hearthbound Axe, thank you. Yeah. On the path to Triforce, the Triforce Zeri build versus the Crit build. Let's talk about it.
I think so. I think that still the Trinity is probably what you want to be going for here, honestly. I mean, there isn't... yes, the Rise is going to build tank. Hold on.
Uh-oh, there's a gang coming out of the mid lane. Frozen Incursion and Sunrise with a lot of burst damage on Pengu's Soul is going to easily burst him down. Pengu's Soul going to take the L on that one, so he gets sent right back to the fountain. Anyway, I do want to weigh in a little bit on the Crit Zeri because it does do a lot of damage. However, I think the Triforce, the amount of safety that the Triforce build does give Zeri is a little too valuable.
Yes, exactly. It gives her all that additional movement speed, allows her to kite in fights. Notably, of course, it's interesting that the War Leader would pick a Jarvan into this because Zeri can just vault over the Cataclysm. She doesn't care about it at all. So he's likewise Ahri with her dash. So I think he's going to have a bit of trouble like locking down these carries in later fights. But one thing I will also mention is, yes, that is going to put Sunrise a little bit ahead in terms of itemization because, as I mentioned, between the Ahri and the Volibear, the Rise, yes, Pengu did get that initial solo kill, but he still has got to be super careful. He's now got no flash, and Frozen Incursion, he's up there on his Krugs at the moment, but if he wants to come down for a repeat gank, there's very little that Pengu can do about it unless War Leader is there to help him.
Very much so. They are on the same side. Frozen Incursion is going to opt to recall. Trade coming into the mid lane. Sunrise up a level, and Pengu Soul is going to take a little actually pretty even trade in the mid lane coming between the two.
Yes, for sure. And War Leader, he's now going to take the opportunity to go and potentially get some vision down in the topside jungle. He might even be wrapping around for a little gank here.
And War Leader does get the flag and drag, knocked airborne into a root from the Rise. Ignite coming down, a couple more autos, one on a minion. Pengu Soul with a little bit of a misplay will result in Sunrise getting out alive. That is going to be very good for Sunrise, denying the kill. Ignite was expended. Will have to get forced out of lane, or will she?
Maybe not necessarily. She doesn't have TP, so I don't think she wants to take the base here if she can afford it. Yeah, she is actually going to be able to pick up that wave. So that does buy Frozen Incursion a bit more time to try to even out the CS because he is still quite far behind after that initial gank. Even so, we did see, of course, the flag and drag basically out-prioritizes everything. Even getting charmed in the middle of it isn't going to stop him going through, but it did allow him to get no follow-up. And now Pengu's got to be a bit careful because now Sunrise, she is going to base, but she's coming back into lane, at least with a lost chapter and with ult online. And with ult, I'm pretty sure she's going to be able to win the 1v1 versus Pengu especially before he gets his base off.
Very much so. Backs coming out between the mid laners. Pengu Soul still not taking the recall just yet. Should be able to get the book on the recall. It'll be a little close. I'm actually not too... I don't know exactly what gold he is at. However, Ahri picking up the lost chapter. War Leader himself taking his first recall of the game. Picking up the Iron Spike Whip already, which is pretty good with that farm lead that he has over Volibear. And speaking of Volibear, he's sneaking up in the bot lane, but Jarvan's coming around. They're going to start this fight. Tef taking a lot of damage. Escape has to bust the heal. War Leader coming out for the roundabout gank, but is going to flag and drag out and back on to Frozen Incursion. He's taken very low. Both of them going down. And Jinx with the reset is going to try to put out as much damage as he can. Tafar has gotten rooted. They're still going for it. Got the stun on Ollie. But Give Me a Reset is dashing in for the extra bonus damage and potentially a kill on Escape, but it's going to result in his death, and Escape barely getting out alive, but Sunrise's ult will be able to pick it up, and Nautilus going to take out the supportal combat and scoop up with a 3 for 2, or 3 for 3 actually, on both sides.
It is going to be, and the longer they stuck around there, I think this was riskier and riskier for NWT, just because you do have a Jinx who's going to be able to turn the fight the moment she does get a takedown. But nevertheless, that is going to allow Sunrise to pick up a kill. She's now starting to scale fairly heavily. It did allow Escape to get 2, though, I think. So that is going to be, he's coming back to lane with a Noon Quiver. Overall, I think that was a little bit forced, but nevertheless, both carries got quite a lot of resources out of that. And likewise, the Pengu Sol was able to pick up a wave in the bot side as well. So overall, yes, it does give a little bit of a lead here to NWT, but overall, I think it's still a super even game. We have seen a bit of skirmishing thus far, but I'm very interested to see how the team fights are going to work out, because neither side has quite decided to pull the trigger yet on a neutral objective.
That is very much the case. Frozen Incursion is on the top side of the map. Kieri does have Flash. Could be able to get out of this alive, but Frozen Incursion, it looks... Oh, good E coming out from Kieri. Gonna buy some time to try to get out of this alive, but unfortunately it's just too much damage. Done on a Jarvan from the parry is gonna be enough to potentially take him down too. War Leader having to flash out of that, but Rise TP coming up with the ulti is not going to... Oh, with the Flash might be able to get into the Fiora. Fiora opting to flash away as well. Frozen Incursion jumping in on this, has to flash away again, but Winions might take him out, and Pengu Sol is going to pick up another kill, and they're going to be able to push up top lane.
Sunrise has TP. She's elected not to take the... There she goes. There's the TP.
There we go.
I was wondering about that, because...
Does have R, could chase this down, is going to get rooted immediately by Pengu Sol. Isn't going to result in anything. The TP was burned just to make sure Fiora does not get dove. Is going to be the end of that exchange.
I think that was really greedy from Sunrise, actually, because if she TP'd earlier on, she could at least have traded the kills there, because there was a moment where they were forcing under tower in order to get the kill onto Frozen Incursion. That is going to allow some plates. That overall is going to be a little bit of a win, I think, for RLS, because also it's going to get Sunrise's TP. It was a great rotate from Pengu with the Realm Warp, which of course, he's quite... I mean, it's a sort of a reason why he would take the Team Knight, because he does already have that global presence. But even so, just the split pushing potential. Hang on, a little bit of trading. He's got red buff, by the way.
Very much so. Taking down Sunrise little by little with those combos, poking her out of lane already, forced to chug all of her potions. This is looking a little rough for Sunrise now, especially with War Leader coming in for potentially the dive. Is going to pop out Shelly. Shelly is going to be able to get them 2 plates guaranteed. Pengu Sol taking a tank of that wave, or of that tower, for the expense. Ollie is here. Could potentially turn this Frozen Incursion off to the side. Tafara there as well. It's a 3v3 in the mid lane. They're not going to amount to anything. They're just going to take their 2 plates and get out.
They're happy. Yeah, more plates to the side of RLS. That is going to allow them to almost equalize the gold at this point in the time. And if we look at this, the standings at the moment, we are seeing, like, both sides have got carries who are ahead. I mean, the top lane though, Kieri has done a pretty good job of neutralizing this pick, but it's really hard.
Ooh,
hang on.
Going into the Shadow Realm, Kieri and Valiancy, I believe that's how you say that, is going to duke it out in the Shadow Realm. Not going to amount to a kill. Fiora opting to back out after that. Is going for, I believe, the Divine Sunderer. The build path is just so similar to Essence Reaver, I have to double take every time I see it. Frozen Incursion is in the bot lane. They are going to pop the Nautilus ult on Escape. Escape is going to pop out the traps. It's a 3v3 now with bot lane. War Leader is going to tank up a little bit. Escape taking so much damage. 3-man knockup. Good flag and drag into a Cataclysm. Explosion from the Jinx Rocket. And a couple more autos from the Rocket should be enough to secure double kill. It's so close though. Escape narrowly getting out with a double kill to his name. And in the mid lane, we had a little bit of a 1v1 action going on over here. Let's see how this goes. Rise, stunning under tower. Root versus Root. We have the Even Shroud.
Extended
fight coming in. Yeah. We got the deleted scenes coming in hot. Sunrise gonna trade on Pengu Sol immediately. They're trading CC. Rooted under tower. Rise is tanking. It's so close. I'm just surprised that Pengu Sol was able to narrowly avoid that. Or was able to narrowly avoid dying to tower, but Sunrise, with the ulti, is going to be able to pick Pengu up.
Yes, and as you mentioned, the Everfrost online coming back into lane, it's super good for Ari, still is, because it synergizes so well with the charm. It allows you to root them with just a free route on top of the charm to lock them in place, get more tower shots there. Beautiful, easy stuff from Sunrise, demonstrating also again how much sustain this champion now has with the essence theft. So that no surprises there, as we thought before. You know, once she's got the ult online, she is going to be able to win the 1v1 with sort of even items. Going back to that fight in the bot lane, though, Frozen Incursion had Stormbringer the entire time and didn't use it. And that really surprises me, because there was a moment they were under tower, as we are going to see a little bit of contestation around Dragon, and it does look like NWT have full control of the river with the vision, but nevertheless, as I said, I think he could have ulted under tower. It might have been able to at least even up the kills, but it's moot point now. That aside from a herald, still no neutral objectives. As
Ooh, Fiora getting the stun on Mordekaiser might just put Kieri in her grave. Oh, it's so close, though. The Fiora ult narrowly getting her out of that alive. That was a very close fight up in the top lane. Both tops at 1 HP, no resources to use. They both have TP. Pengu's Soul going in for the roundabout. Oh, this is not good. Oh, but almost taking a trade kill into Kieri. That was so close. That's a Bramble diff if I've ever seen one.
I mean, Pengu wasn't at all necessary up there in the top side. He went for the little cheeky Everfrost, missed it. It is going to allow NWT to have 4 people onto this first Drake of the game at 14 minutes.
That is a very late dragon. Jinx. Oh, good pull on the dragon. So Jinx Rocket doesn't hit any champions. They're going to be able to get that Cloud Drake with ease and escape. Going to take a hook to the face. Nautilus ult. That's a treatment we've been seeing since the beginning of time. Rest in peace, Escape. Going to get the shutdown.
Yeah, that's a little bit disrespectful from Escape, not respecting that, you know, the Nautilus is nearby. You've just seen 4 people at Drake. You can't walk up when your support's not there. Going back to that, I mean, I think that this top lane, I did say it was going to be interesting. I think both of these top lanes are not quite sure who wins the 1v1. I think it's the Fiora now. She's got the Divine Sunder on deck, but before that, we saw it so close because, yes, we've got the, the Death Realm. Yes, we've got the Grand Challenge. Neither of them are really quite sure who's going to be able to take the 1v1, and they're both so scared of losing it that now I think Valiancy has a little bit of, comfort with that mythic advantage that probably if we do see ults traded again, it's going to be in his favor.
And it is it's rather close in the gold between both teams. 8-8, the gold is within 1,000 of each other. We do have a tower that was taken. Actually, yes, we do. In the mid lane, Ryze was able to get the tower, I believe, during the dragon take. Or it was actually probably before the top lane exchange, somewhere within that time frame. So giving a mid prio to this Ryze, who ulti should be within a minute cooldown, could make a impact on this map very, very soon. Kieri, very good parry to take away the ulti from Mordekaiser. Is going to trade ults, is going to take one heck of a trade in the top lane.
Yes. That was a really nice parry, actually. That's one thing, of course, we haven't mentioned about this matchup is that the grasp of Mordekaiser, the E, is so choreographed that it's super easy for Fiora to parry. That is one thing that gives her a big advantage in this matchup. But it doesn't look like, she's really needed much of it at the moment with now a lot of pressure being put on Kieri. She is a fantastic weak side top laner. She's used to this. She is going to be able to play safe necessarily. But now with that second Herald spawning in not too long, it does look like NWT are looking to put some pressure on the top side.
Ollie gonna get knocked out by the flag and drag. There's 3 versus 3 right now coming up with a Jinx Rocket off to the side. Is going to narrowly miss the fight. And meanwhile, in the fight, Valiancy forced to flash out of the Cataclysm. Frozen Incursion jumping in with the ulti. We're gonna trade the Fiora for potentially Ollie in a second here as Frozen Incursion tanks up more. 2 players of RLS are very low, but it doesn't matter because Pengu Soul will pick up the 3rd kill for that 4v4, 5v4 even. Almost, if you want to count that Jinx Rocket, but nearly missed. 4v4 is going to result in a Rift Herald for War Leader. RLS coming out on top of that.
You could say that again, Werler. Like that, RLS have always been a good team fighting team, right? And that's where they really show up in that exchange because that was very uncoordinated, to be blunt, from NWT, and that's what really was, not in their favor. Like Valiancy gets caught out, dies trying to get away from whilst getting burned down with Dot from the Mordekaiser. Never, then Frozen Incursion ults in, just gets caught between three members, got no follow-up, and isn't able to chase anyone down. That is, if we look now, I mean, now with the Herald being secured as well, yes, that mid turret, as you mentioned, did get taken before. This was a very close game for the first 15 minutes. Now it's RLS can have all of the opportunity they need to snowball.
Very much so. Jinx up 2 kills on the Zeri, still pretty even in farm, is going to have a little bit of an item advantage coming into the second item. That is a very crucial part of RLS's comp, getting this Jinx online, because that is one of their main sources of damage, barring Rise scaling.
It is, yeah. And War Leader, you don't necessarily want to be giving too many opportunity. Yes, I mean, yes, I think that NWT have decent scaling. I mean, it could go, obviously, like both Zeri and Jinx scale fantastically, but really, I mean, I think there's a little bit more peel on the side of RLS, but also it doesn't necessarily matter if they're just going to coordinate the team fights better. Nevertheless, we are going to be seeing a second Drake spawning in only 30 seconds time. That is going to provide, RLS are going to take the initiative, give themselves as much priority on the bot tier 1 as possible. And yes, NWT are beelining down with Kieri being able to bash on the top turret for weak side. She does have TP if necessary, but that's an interesting herald.
That is an interesting herald. It's actually going to go to the mid lane there, which isn't going to result in much for RLS at all. And they're actually getting pushed out of the Dragon Pit by NWT. It's a 5v5, 4v5 currently, but Kieri did take top tower. Has the Unleashed teleport, is ready to fight this. It is going to start. Kieri TP'd down. The fight has started. 5-on-5 in the pit. It is going to be Frozen Incursion picking up that dragon, but Frozen Incursion is going to be taken very low. Jarvan going down first. They are actually... I cannot see a single thing in this fight. It is so close, but Ollie's being taken down. It is going to be Braum next up in the order. Oh my god. Give Me a Reset does get out of the fight away from Escape, who just got a reset on the Fiora. It is going to go ham. Taking a lot of autos. Escape taken very low. That was one heck of a fight. That was the coolest fight I've ever seen so far. RLS looking like they sort of, came out on top there. They did lose the dragon. NWT are now up 2 dragons, but RLS taking a 4,000 gold lead after that fight.
Notably, the Herald didn't get any value whatsoever. It didn't even get a charge on the mid turret. I honestly thought with that TP that Kieri was going to commit to the mid charge, and I would have been all for it. But she does come in and show up big in that fight. She takes Ollie out of the fight and takes him down in the Death Realm. He's got no way of dealing with her. Give Me a Reset was free hitting throughout that entire fight, by the way. No one was touching this Zeri, but just the damage wasn't there necessarily. And on the other side, once again, RLS just playing the fight correctly. War Leader, he does go in and apply some pressure on the back line. And similarly, Escape was free hitting. And okay, hold on.
Oh, TP coming out from Sunrise to save the bot tier 1. Escape has to respect this Ahri. It's a lot of damage. With the
and Rise are there, by the way.
Say that again?
They're all there. They're all there.
They are all indeed there, yes. There's 4 people up in this bot lane. We got 4 people on NWT now on bot side as well. They will be able to pick up the bot tier 1 after... It was a little sketchy at the start, but Pengu Soul did pop his ulti for that. To get everyone down there, I'm pretty sure. It is on cooldown, and it will not be up for another, I believe that is 2 minutes. Which is very big for Rise TP at the time. But that's okay because there's not really much objectives to go for on the map anymore, at least to prioritize, as the ultis up in the top lane are being expended. Valiancy is, oh my god, going to take so much damage from that Q from Mordekaiser. But the healing on both sides of this fight made that so close. But Kieri will indeed come out on top of that with that amazing 1v1 that we saw from both.
she waited a long time to pop the Death Realm, actually, until, she waited out the Grand Challenge and then takes Valiancy into the Death Realm. She's got a Bramble Vest online, so she says, no, you're not going to be able to sustain through all of me. I'm standing, if you're going to stand in the middle of me, then I am going to wear you down. Very close. Nice bit of juking there from Valiancy, but ultimately she is, you can see how fed she now is after those last few fights. And yeah, she stat checked Valiancy, and now it is definitely going to be in her favor, even more so at this point. And yeah, great stuff. I will say, going back also, that yes, it did that play on the bot side did burn the Realm Warp in order to get them down there, but crucially, Sunrise completely wasted her TP. So she is going to be side laning up there in this top side. That is okay because she is on the side of Baron, which is the next objective that everyone's looking to play for. But she doesn't necessarily have the same freedom that, she would do otherwise. We have noted both of these comps have fantastic side laning potential. You can see this 1-3-1-ish setup that NWT is trying to employ, get the Fiora down in the side lane, get the Ahri down in the side lane, get some pressure on the map because they really need it at this point in the game. But with the TPs online, which is something they do have an extra one over RLS, if they can stall it out, then look, you see Valiancy on the bot side there. That's a lot of pressure they can now expend whilst they try to stall out in the rest of the map.
And Jinx coming online with the Runaan's Hurricane second item. Almost halfway to the LDR. Oh, Rai's going to take a hook to the face. It's going to spark a 2v2 with a TP coming up. Escape, zoning out Frozen Incursion. But the Flag and Drag is going to make this fight a little one-sided for RLS as they're starting to chase NWT out of their own jungle. Sunrise almost getting swag flagged, but it is going to narrowly dodge the Jinx W as well. Sunrise does come out of that alive. Not a single kill was given to RLS, but oh, now I spoke way too soon. With the Q snipe onto Sunrise to pick her up. That is one way to turn that fight around. Good job, Brom.
Yeah, you may be picking up the Everfrost, the Fim, Ahri, but you can't escape the Winter's Bite necessarily.
Oh my God.
Valiancy, I was just talking about how Valiancy has TP advantage to get into the fight. Valiancy walks all the way from bot lane into the jungle and basically does absolutely and never gets to the fight because it kites all the way to mid lane. That is a real shame. I think NWT, if you're watching this VOD later, you have to be a little bit more You're being very greedy with your TPs. That's all I'll say, because they're not taking that advantage to even up numbers in fights. And RLS is saying, look, if you're going to give us a numbers advantage every time, we engage on you, then we'll take it. And again, now Valiancy's caught out.
Very much so. 5 members in the top lane forced to flash out, but it's not going to matter whatsoever. That is going to be Escape picking up a 6th kill, and they might be starting this Baron. The double pink just to make sure it's not warded. Give me a reset. Sunrise on the opposite wall. They might try to fight for this 4v5. Baron is not going to be in full focus as it's still above half. They're taking it down. They're starting to close in. This might be the start of the fight. Braum ulti zoning them away. War Leader's looking to get out of the pit. They're trying to stay. They're in between staying in it and starting this fight. I think right now they're going to elect to finish this Baron. Frozen? Very close. They're jumping in. Red team's going to steal that one. Frozen Incursion. Beautifully stolen. Early smite from War Leader. And it's not going to amount to too much because they're just going to get aced by RLS. They're way too strong. Denying them the Baron. Oh, this kiting from Give Me a Reset is beautiful, though. Zeri is one heck of a champion. Still has the GA, by the way. It actually gets out alive. Oh, not GA. That looked like GA spinning around her, but it wasn't. Give Me a Reset doesn't even need a GA because he just gets out alive. Not even killed by that. That's... What do you think?
I think that I love me some 202 years gaming, Werler. I think that's exactly what that was. I'm impressed, very impressed by that kiting. Obviously, this is one of the best kiting champions in the game. I'm particularly impressed that Give Me a Reset did indeed kite his way through the Death Realm, as well as everything else that was thrown at him from RLS. That is one Baron they have. One Baron. Graze still from Frozen. I was a bit worried. They did go in for it 4v5, so it was a bit of a Hail Mary, but they did understand that if they give a Baron away at this point, it does mean they're going to really struggle to match side lanes because both of their solo laners are behind by comparison. As you can see, Kieri is now massive. She's got 2.5 items, huge amounts of dot. If you look up in this top lane, Valiancy isn't going to want to. Maybe he takes the 1v1, but I don't think he wins it. But nevertheless, that is going to stall out the game a bit longer. And NWT still have Drake advantage. This is still, a very winnable game for them. As you saw before, Give Me a Reset doesn't die. Fantastic kiting. Has 3 items online, including the Black Cleaver, which is crucial because that is a very tanky team you're facing down. And
I would have to agree.
And so now, they're still, I think, lacking a little bit of cohesion in these team fights, which RLS are exploiting. But if you're going to be able to steal neutral objectives, and credit to Frozen Incursion for doing that, then if you can work your way towards that soul point, then maybe you've got an angle.
Definitely so. We're in a bit of a neutral now. Only one Baron on the side of NWT. They're not going to be able to do too much of it for the same reason that you said. Their side lane pressure is just way over what NWT have, even with a Baron. So they're just going to use it to their advantage to deny pushes in the mid lane, which won't amount to too much. Mordekaiser is coming down. There could be a fight that breaks out because of this. No flash on the Mordekaiser. Isn't going to be able to get too much engaged, but War Leader jumping on in. Zeri is jumping out immediately. Frozen Incursion forced to flash away, but Ollie might take the L for his team. That is going to be Escape picking that one up. 3-item Jinx. That's about as scary as honestly, this Jinx is looking pretty scary right now. That's a lot of damage coming out from that one champion alone. They're going to be able to pick that up. Another kill for RLS. Isn't going to be able to do too much about that for NWT as they're getting pushed in on 2 lanes. And Fiora is going to get matched by Kiri in just a second.
Yeah, so Valiancy once again gets to push in on the side lane. That is going to force Kiri to respond. Kiri's got TP though, and I'm pretty sure she'll use it if she does see an angle here. This bot turret is going down fairly fast. Huge clear from Pengu now, who's almost on 3 items. That beautiful tank rise build we all know and love at this point. Charm does nothing because look how tanky he is.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. And so at this point in the game, once again, NWT are getting caught out where RLS are just happy to press, advantages. Kiri makes the rotation. It isn't matched. Yes, Frozen burns out, but Frozen loses his flash, and that's crucial because there's another Drake coming up in a moment that he really would be wanting to. He's got Stormbringer in line, of course, but still, it's just going to make it a little bit harder. He's probably going to have to sacrifice himself if he is going to try to go for this steal. And, how much do they lose if they get that at this point? But it does look like NWT recognize this. TP's coming in. It is going to be a 5v5.
It is indeed. Pengu Soul jumping on in here as well. They're lined up perfectly for the same kind of fight we saw a couple of dragons ago. And I'm going to see if it amounts to the same way. Just poke being thrown around by each. Oh, but they're going to try to engage here. Good. Oh my. Coming out from RLS. Going to wipe the floor with Volibear. Ollie taking the L from Jinx as well. At the double kill for Escape. Traded by the Braum. Sunrise for the Zanya's. Escape is in the focus right now. Zeri getting a double kill as well. Going to be running after them. It's 3v3 right now. Even trade so far. Both junglers and supports going down evenly. But Pengu Soul is just way too strong to get this, to just give this to NWT for free. And I don't know which team is, or what each team are going to be doing here. They're going to be pushing mid so far for RLS, and NWT still undecided on when they're taking that Drake or not. But I think they're going to be running away.
Give Me a Reset is right now in his in his promos, and he's 2-2, and he doesn't want to lose this game right now because he's kiting up a storm in these fights. He is free hitting constantly. Like that's what that fight went the way it did. Frozen Incursion got destroyed at the beginning of that fight, unfortunately. He is a tank, but he's so far behind in levels and items that he just gets shredded by this RLS team. But crucially, they expend a lot of their key cooldowns taking that kill because they want to take the jungler out before the Drake, and that means that the Zeri behind them is free hitting. And that meant that by the end of it, neither side again wanted to overcommit because they knew they'd be giving away a lot. So they're going to just be content to continue to push sides. Both teams, phenomenal clear. Neither side can get an advantage, but it is RLS who are going to be first into the river this time, and it is going to be, instead, NWT looking like they want to trade priority on the Baron.
Oh, and that might be good for them. If they can get the second Baron, that's a lot of gold for the enemy, or for their team to help catch them back up. The 4,000 gold lead that we saw almost 10 minutes ago hasn't increased for RLS. They've kept that gold lead that RLS has there.
Oh my god.
It hasn't moved.
Oh my god.
He's going on. Oh, you're going to go right on to the enemy team. War Leader is going to get blown up, and Braum as well. This is very good. But unfortunately, the damage from Escape and Pengusoul is just way too much for NWT to handle, and Jinx is going to pick up another double. There's no way Give Me a Reset gets out of this alive, and I spoke way too soon. I spoke way too soon. You know, at this point, I'm just going to stop saying that Give Me a Reset's going to die, because he's just not. He's just not.
Chiari tries to lock him down, but look, like it's 202 years versus I don't know how many years it took to make Mordekaiser, but probably not that many. Nevertheless, once again, everyone else is getting shredded. Like, yes, the Zeri's free hitting, but it's not quite enough. Once again, Valiancy is in trouble.
Free hitting, good Gale Force from Jinx to pick up Valiancy there. They're going to be able to get this mid hit for free. Go on.
Well, not necessarily. They are going to be able to again extend pressure on the map. This is a super tight game, Whirler. I was saying to you before this game that I thought the second game of the day, which stay tuned because that is going to be a banger, I guarantee it. There's going to be the big one. This has been a superb game from both sides because all the fights have been close. We've got two exceptionally fed carries. I mean, that Jinx is looking kind of scary because she's got 4 items, including an Infinity Edge and a stopwatch. So she escapes in prime position to completely carry this next fight, and we know he can do it. But NWT are not saying, goodbye just yet. They stalled out the Baron. Once again, give me a reset. Hold on.
War Leader going right back in with the flag and drag. Frozen Incursion is going to be caught in the middle of the fight. He's going to have to flash out again. Ollie is getting free hit as well. He's going to give up his life. Escape getting a reset. Doing so much damage on NWT. Give me a reset. Oh my god. Now caught a little bit. Is out of mana. Taking so much damage from these autos. Yeah. And finally, your long await. If you wanted to see the Zeri go down, she finally did. And they're going to get a free Baron from RLS. Zeri, the absolute matrix of this game so far, sneaking out of every single fight, does go down for the first time in the team fighting part of this game. RLS going to take up Baron, and they're going to take it to the mid lane.
Well, she may be 202 years, but who's the Zor Night Queen? I think we know which one is right now, and it is going to be our favorite champion from our favorite champion from Arcane. It's not quite fair because Escape is monstrously fed.
Monstrously is an understatement.
Yeah. And with a couple of autos, yes, even though she's built tank, because that's just inherently how her build works, it doesn't matter. She's getting blown up by Escape this time around because no damage was able to put on him previously. Now they've got the Baron. This could be a game-winning push. One more 5v5 for NWT to say, can we make it happen?
And they're going right for it. Stormbringer from Frozen Incursion is going to stun up. Pengusoul hook onto Escape is going to take him out of the fight. Does have stopwatch still if he needs it. They're going to trade a kill onto Valiancy as they get this fight going. Give me a reset stuck in the back. Escape forced the stopwatch. But is going to take out Zeri before he can kill Escape. Escape is going to be able to get so many resets, amounting to 4 kills so far. Ollie, which is usually the first one to die, is going to be the last one. And RLS are going to sweep that 4-0 as they bring it up to the mid lane to potentially end this game. Escape is flashing over. I was questioning that pathing because he could have just walked through the tower, but he's just gonna Chad flash over the base wall, and they're gonna look to end this game.
That is going to be that. Once again, RLS played Protect the President or Protect the Zor Night Queen, whatever you want to say, and credit to Gimme a Reset, but I think he'd had enough. He just tried to take out the Jinx. It didn't happen. The stopwatch was there. RLS got the team fight they wanted, and that's going to be their second win of the season so far.
Which is going to be very good for RLS since they're coming off of a season where they almost got it. They're coming back with a vengeance, and I am excited to see RLS in action again. You said 2-2 or 2. What was the score again? 2-2. That makes
they're 2-2. Unfortunately, that does leave a New Wave with a quite rough 0-4 start to the season, but it is only week 2. So.
Right, it's only week 2. There's so much more of the season to go. They play extremely well from what I've seen. Their team fights. I mean, when it comes to the Zeri, I haven't seen better kiting, but that might be the champion. Might not be. I'm not going to take credit away from the 80 carry. It was piloted beautifully by Gimme a Reset. RLS is going to take this game, and what are your final thoughts on how these two teams duked it out?
I think that we demonstrated NWT, of course, are a new addition, a team that Sunrise has built. Credit to her, herself. And there is definitely still some coordination to be had that RLS definitely do have as a team, which is why I think we saw quite a difference when it got to those crucial moments. NWT, a lot to learn here, but they have a lot of room for growth. Obviously, we've seen a lot of different iterations in terms of rosters from this team, so it would be nice to see a more consistent starting lineup to try to get that cohesion down. But nevertheless, I'm very impressed with some of the stuff I saw, and I'm looking forward to see what both of these teams have for the rest of the season.
That being said, that's going to wrap up game number 1 of the night. Stay tuned for an interview with our winner, and we will see you for game number 2 in just a bit.
Hello everyone, Chris Edgeworth here for our first interview tonight, and I am joined by Pengu Soul out of the mid lane from RLS. How are you feeling after the big win?
I'm feeling great. Today was definitely a better game for the team, in my opinion. Our confidence kind of got boosted that game after our loss yesterday.
Yeah, and let's start right there. Yesterday seemed like it was a little bit of a tough loss against a certainly tough opponent. But if you could give me your thoughts, we did have a couple of your teammates on the cast last night, and they seemed to be in good spirits. You folks, as you say, end up with the win here to bounce back a little bit. What was it like on the team getting ready, bouncing back after the loss against Baby?
Yeah, yesterday's loss was pretty hard for some of us, and obviously, like, we used that, like, that like frustration and like kind of the tilt that we had to make it, you know, a little bit more progressive and try to learn from what we did wrong yesterday. So going forward into this game, we understand a lot of the mistakes that we were making, polished up some of those mistakes, and all around played with a better mental this game, knowing that we're not going to be making those mistakes as often. Like we're still brushing up on them. We're still making those mistakes, obviously, but we're definitely improving at like a very steady rate at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely good to feel confident that when you are making those mistakes, that you are actually learning from them and moving forward from them. So big that you point that out there. Let's talk about this game itself. You folks we returned to our favorite champions on the Rift. It's the Jinx, Zeri, Aphelios, Rock, Paper, Scissors. And this time you folks end up with the Jinx. Zeri's on the other side. We got to see Give Me a Reset was playing with you guys there a little bit at the end. But talk to me a little bit, if you would, in general about this draft that you folks put together. You in the mid lane are on this tanky Rise here. What were your thoughts, especially considering that we saw a little bit of a swap in the mid lane against you?
So a big part about why I'm playing Rise so much is I used to play Rise like all the time, like back in high school. So like this always has been like one of my like more favorite champs. And it's great to see that he's now like a lot more viable in play. So like I've been enjoying playing Rise a lot more often, and it kind of scared me going into Ahri because I don't have too much matchup experience with Rise Ahri, and you know Ahri being really strong right now is very daunting. So I wasn't feeling too confident with like this matchup in particular, but like playing with Rise, it this was like another factor that was like helping with my mental, just keeping it good. I'm playing a champion that I really enjoy. Obviously this champion's getting nerfed real soon, so it's like really rough. We really wanted Rise for the map presence, and I was just like, yeah, I really like playing Rise. Rise is able to provide so much map pressure with just his R, and I'm confident that like I'm able to get my team around the map to where we need to be.
Yeah, and that definitely was apparent in this game. You folks, this was a heavily objective-driven game. It felt like everyone knew when it was time to conga line into the river and start fighting around those objectives. And as you say, with Rise, he does give you a lot of that agency to choose when and where and how you approach these objectives. So last question I want to ask you is just about the tempo in this game in general. It was strongly in your favor, and then it looked like we were maybe going to see a little bit of the Zeri XD 200 years. She was getting a little slippery there. With a champion like Rise, you do get the lockdown from the root. If you can manage that point and click root on her. So that is one good champion that you folks were able to have against her. Talk to me a little bit, if you would, about this tempo through the mid game of these fighting for these objectives, and how you folks felt considering that you guys were not able to catch this area every time, if that gave you any pause.
Yeah, we were obviously playing very high tempo. We maintained strong, and we were keeping watch of like just all the other champions, not really making too much, not paying too much attention towards the Zeri, towards the mid game. And then like obviously later on, the Zeri got pretty scary, and we were like, oh no, this is getting really bad. So it started to become like, okay, during these fights, we're gonna front to back the first few picks. If Zeri gets out of control, we're going to have our Mordekaiser and Jarvan jump on top of her and try to CC her down. If she's out of the fight, we can focus out on all the other champions and just not worry about the Zeri. With my pick in mid to late game, I slowly became a CC bot, obviously. Albeit I do a lot of damage. It was very apparent that I wasn't doing enough damage to the front line. The most I could really do was just be a CC bot for our Jinx, who's dishing out all the damage. So it became very quickly just we're going to be front to backing, and then if Zeri becomes a problem, we're just taking her out of the fight.
Yeah, and then we didn't even talk about what probably a fair few people in chat wanted me to bring up, which is the fact that we saw a Mordekaiser Fiora matchup in this game. By the way, folks, that was a thing that we did legally see on screen. To shout out Young Sunga there. He is quite the delivery person. He's making sure everyone's getting their DoorDash in that game. So, and I do want to shout out as well the Indomitable War Leader at the end of the game. As you say, you were a CC bot. This dude was totally down to continue to throw his corpse at the problem, just flag and drag in with the Cataclysm and just be like, all right, I put him in a circle. Let's go. So, do want to tip my hat as well. To the jungle there. So thank you so much, Pengu Soul, for this interview. Congratulations on this win, evening you out at 2-2 through 2 weeks. So we look forward to seeing how RLS plays out through the rest of the season. Congratulations. And before we step away, though, your opportunity for any final thoughts.
All right. Well, obviously, this is one of our signature chants. If everyone in RLS or, anyone else in chat would like to join me. Another dub for the Ruby League server!
Got you, fam. Hell yeah. And with that, folks, another dub, another game coming up soon. We'll be back after a short break, so don't go anywhere.
mains dulcinées m'ayant planté là, c'est à moi que chante tout ça.
Mr. Pham will stay behind, and he will perform one of the most popular piece of music in Asia, especially in Asian heritage.
Ollie gonna get knocked out by the flag and drag. There's 3 versus 3 right now coming up with a Jinx rocket off to the side. Is going to narrowly miss the fight. And meanwhile, in the fight, Valiancy forced to flash out of the Cataclysm. Frozen Incursion jumping in with the ulti. We're gonna trade the Fiora for potentially Ollie in a second here as Frozen Incursion tanks up more. The players of RLS are very low, but that's okay because there's not really much objectives to go for on the map anymore, or at least to prioritize, as the ultis up in the top lane are being expended. Valiancy is, oh my god, gonna take so much damage from that Q from Mordekaiser. But the healing there hasn't moved. Oh my god, he's going on. Hook gonna go right on the enemy team. War Leader is gonna get blown up, and Braum as well. This is very good, but unfortunately the damage from the Skip and Pangosoul is just way too much for NWT to handle, and Jinx is gonna pick up another double. There's no way Give Me a Reset gets out of this alive, and they're going right for it. Stormbringer from Frozen Incursion is gonna stun up Pangosoul. Hook onto Escape is gonna take him out of the fight. Does have stopwatch still if he needs it. They're gonna trade a kill onto Valiancy as they get this fight going. Give Me a Reset stuck in the back. Escape forced the stopwatch. Is gonna take out Zeri before he can kill Escape. Escape is going to be able to get so